Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make 2 mixed media cards using napkins, including the DIY collage papers that I've made from unwanted napkins. And I'm going to be using 2 napkins from NinnysNapkins.com. This adorable Halloween gnome and spooky pups. Not really a Halloween person, and I know I'm pushing the season, but these are too cute to not use them. So these are 5 by 5 cocktail napkins, and there are 4 identical images on each napkin. So they're perfect for mass producing cards or small scale art journal pages. I'm going to be working on a 6 by 6 card, but it could be a 6 by 6 mixed media board, art journal page, a 5 by 7, something along those lines. So I rough cut them out so I could audition them, and then I grabbed these DIY collage papers that I made using unwanted napkins, and I'm just trying them out on the backgrounds and either saying yes or no. So as I go through that process, I come up with 2 options, and then I pick this one to use. I will link to that video because if you've got napkins and you're not using them, you may want to turn them into something in your stash that you are going to use. So there we have it. And I love the fall colors of this collage paper that I have. As I said, I'm going to be working on 6 by 6 card bases, but this doesn't have to be a card. It can be on a canvas, it can be on a mixed media board or a wooden panel. You decide. I'm gluing this down by putting a coat of fluid matte medium underneath and a coat on the top. While that's drying, I'm going to prepare the focal image. This is the second way that we're using a napkin. We're using a napkin as the focal image. After rough cutting it, I've got my fingers are wet, or I've got a little bit of matte medium on them, and I'm taking off the excess plies, and I'm going to glue them down onto a piece of recycled copy paper. And I'm doing that because I'm going to glue it onto those very colorful backgrounds, and I don't want any of the colors or the black that's in there to come through and distort my beautiful focal images. Often when I'm doing this, I will glue down more than what I think I'm going to use. And then once I have them, they go into my stash and they're at the ready if I want to use it. Using the collage papers that were in my stash and any embellishments that were in my stash really jumpstarts your creative process and minimizes the time needed to create. So now that this is dried, I am fussy cutting around it. I just want the image. I don't want that black that was around the spooky pups or the gray that's around the gnome. So I'm cutting all of that out. Now the gnome is a little too small. It looks a little dwarfed on even that 6 by 6. So I want to beef it up. Now these mushrooms, I harvested from some napkins that I wasn't using. And I'll put a link to that video. There you can see the whole page of them. Now I have them at the ready to be cut out and added to build up any focal images, as you see me doing right here. Now I chose these mushrooms because it's got that orange. It's the same orange as the pumpkin, and it goes with the background, and it kind of goes with the gnome. So mix and match your embellishments. Then I'm taking the bat that was with the gnome napkin, and I'm going to put that onto my spooky pups. And instead of just gluing it on, I want it to be a little bit thicker, so I'm gluing it onto the copy paper. I'll let that dry, and then I'll fussy cut it out before I glue it on. I want to edge the papers and frame my card. So even though this isn't a page or on a canvas, I always like to have that black around the edge. I just really like that look. And I'm doing that around my cutout focal images to get rid of that white edge. And this, to some degree, is shading the focal image and making it stand out. So I'm going to do that with the gnome, with the mushrooms, and the spooky pups. Now, if you don't have mushroom embellishments, you can Google free printable mushrooms, clip art, mushrooms, pumpkin, and print that out and colorize it and add it to something, an embellishment that you have. Now, when I'm making cards, I want to try to keep the backs and everything clean, so take time to stop and clean your surface. So I'm really liking that. I like how the mushrooms, we've got the 3 orange things, and 3 is the magic number when you're setting up composition. Because these focal images are now, there's napkin and copy paper, they're a little bit thicker. I prefer using gel medium to fluid medium. I just find it helps stick it a little bit longer, or easier, I should say. And I'm just gluing down all the focal images. So if you were making cards and you wanted to make, multiples of this to hand out with candy or, whatever, you do this kind of assembly line. I would do a masterboard, which is what my DIY paper basically was, and then I would have the backgrounds for all of them. Once that's completely dry, I am going to boost up the color of the focal image, just so it stands out from the background. We've got a lot of color here, and I want the focal image to stand out. So I'm just colorizing it. I'm looking at the swatches and I'm mixing the colors. I'm sticking basically to the same color here, but I'm not overly concerned. And I love using my Inktense blocks because it's ink, so it's permanent when it's dry, and it's more translucent than my acrylic paints. As I said, I love these 2 napkins, and I thought if I post that now, even though I'm pushing the season, it gives you time to order them if this is something you would love to do. I think this, would look good since it's small scale. This on a 6x6 mixed media board or on a wood panel would look great on a tiered tray. I like the idea of usable art. I have 3 videos every week, so I have a lot. So I love making them into cards that I can send away to people. Now I painted them with the Inktense blocks, but then I'm coming up and giving it a coat of the stencil butters. Now stencil butters are from the Crafters Workshop, and they have this pearlized look to them. So that's adding a little bit shimmer, which I like. Then I lost the white dots on my mushrooms, so I'm coming in with my fine line applicator bottle and adding those dots back in. Now I'm going to shade my focal images. I'm going on top of the napkin, and then you're going to see me doing the exact same thing, going beside the napkin on the background. And both of those are going to shade my focal image and make it stand out from the background. I chose this one with the diamond plate black in the background because it looked like the eyes of the jack-o'-lantern. I liked how that played together. And this one, it has the scattered branches stencil in the background, and it looked like fall leaves or a forest, like they're going down a deserted road. And here I'm shading on the napkin, and this really makes it look a little 3D and sets the focal image from the background. So both of these cards in entirety took under an hour to make. And that was me stopping and figuring out what I want for sentiments and, deciding what to do. But once you figure out what you can do, it's really easy to go assembly line, and that saves time. So I went and I typed out a bunch of sentiments using different fonts. I wanted a bold font because the background is so busy. So for the spooky pups, I was debating between two different sentiments. Tricks for treats. And I'm just cutting this apart. I didn't really plan where my sentiment was going to go, so I didn't necessarily put the pups in the right place. I might have put it a little bit different. Now I have to fit the sentiment to what I have. And the other one that I'm thinking of using with the pups is Happy Halloween. This one I will be giving to one of my friends that is a dog lover. I think they will appreciate this all the more. And for the gnome, I thought maybe I could put Boo. I end up cutting out the script sentiment that says believe in the magic. And I left a white border around the sentiments just to make it stand out from that busy background. And then I decided, I have those sentiments cut out, so I'm just going to glue them inside. So Happy Halloween goes inside that one, and Boo goes in this one. And I thought, I've got that extra bat. I'm going to put that in there too. So now I'm grabbed my Sakura Glaze gel pen and I'm outlining my sentiment. Now the Sakura Glaze is dimensional and glossy. So I'm edging, going around kind of sketchily around the card just to make it set off, adding that glossiness on the bat. And then I decide that I'm going to go right over top of all the letters and make that look glossy. If you haven't used these Sakura Glaze pens, I highly recommend them. This one has sat for over 6 months and has, I picked it up and it continues to work. And I love the dimensionality of it as well as how easy it is to use. I'm adding a little bit of that glitter and shine on the pumpkin just to make it a little bit fancier. And then edging it. Now I got a little bit of black on there. I'm not the neatest crafter, so I decided I'm going to camouflage that. I splattered it with some orange that I thinned, and then I come back in and splatter it with some black, and then I splatter it with some gold. Now, if there were any marks that I got on there, because I am not a neat crafter, it is totally hidden. After giving that a good dry, I'm going to edge around this again, just to hide any imperfections and frame the inside. And now I can write a note to whoever I'm gifting this to. So we have 2 cards completely done, and I love them. The fall colors, the splatters, just everything about them, even the sentiments. Which one do you like better? Leave me a comment. Follow me on Instagram at CreativeKady. Subscribe to my channel and be sure to check the option to be notified of upcoming videos. And until next time, go get creative.